This happened about 3 years ago. I was on a solo backpacking trip in the Cascades, something I'd done plenty of times before. I'm not one to spook easy, but what I experienced still gives me chills when I think about it. It started off like any other trip. I hiked up to a remote part of the mountains, well off the beaten path. I like those places where you don't run into other people. The first couple of days were normal. Weather was good, scenery was beautiful, and I had that peaceful solitude I was looking for. Things started getting weird on the third night. I was camped by a small creek not too far from this old-growth forest. The place felt different. I don't know how to explain it, but it was like the woods were watching me. At first, I thought it was just my imagination. But then I started hearing these low, strange noises, like something was grunting or growling deep in the trees. I figured it was a bear or maybe a cougar, so I made sure to keep my food hung up and stayed alert. But it didn't sound like any animal I'd ever heard before. It had this strange tone, almost like it was trying to communicate. That night, I barely slept. Every time I started to doze off, I'd hear twigs snapping around my camp, like something was circling me. I shined my flashlight into the woods a few times, but I never saw anything. Still, I could feel it, whatever it was, just beyond the reach of the light. The next day, I decided to cut my trip short. I packed up early and started heading back down the mountain. The whole way, I felt like I was being followed. Every now and then, I'd hear something crashing through the underbrush behind me, but whenever I stopped to look, nothing was there. At one point, I found these massive footprints in the mud, way too big to be a human's and way too deep. I'm not talking about bear tracks or anything normal. These were huge, like something out of a movie. I picked up the pace after that, practically jogging down the trail. That's when I saw it, just for a split second, through the trees. It was tall, covered in dark hair, walking upright, and easily 8 or 9 feet tall. It was about 50 yards away, but I'll never forget the way it moved, like it was aware I was watching. And the worst part was that I felt like it was stalking me. It wasn't running. It was keeping its distance, but always there, just out of sight. I don't remember much about the rest of the hike. I think I was running on pure adrenaline, trying not to look back, but feeling like if I did, it'd be right behind me. I finally made it to my car and peeled out of there without looking back. Now, I know how this sounds. I'm not the kind of guy who really believes in Bigfoot or whatever, but I can't explain what I saw, and I can't shake the feeling that it was more than just an animal. After I got home and unpacked my gear, I found a rock in my pack. It was smooth, polished, like it had been placed there. I don't know how it got there. I sure didn't pick it up, and seeing it gave me an eerie feeling. Ever since that trip, I haven't gone back to that part of the Cascades. There's something out there. I don't know what it is, but I know I'm not going to push my luck.